What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Doctor Who classic review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the first Doctor William Hartnell story, The Keys of Marinus. This is one that I haven't heard a whole lot about. It's only the fourth episode that we can currently watch from the first Doctor's era. I think it's the fifth story altogether because I believe Marco Polo comes before this. But yeah, it's one that I haven't heard a whole lot about, so I was interested to see what it was like. It is a six-parter, so one of the longer ones. But yeah, let's get straight into it. This is The Keys of Marinus by Terry Nation. On a remote island of glass surrounded by a sea of acid, there is a machine that can remove evil from the minds of an entire population, the conscience of Marinus. Fearful of its immense power falling into the wrong hands, its sole guardian has scattered the machine's operating keys across the planet. The TARDIS crew arrive to the island to find the island under attack by the evil Vord. Marinus' last line of defense and its only hope is the conscience machine. The Doctor and his companions must undertake a deadly quest to recover the Keys of Marinus. So this is basically, I mean, I haven't seen the Keys of Time, but it is basically from what I've heard from other people, kind of a precursor to the Key to Time. So you've got 5 or 6 keys, I can't quite remember, that they've got to get to save the planet or whatever the hell's going on. So yeah, it's an interesting premise, kind of also a Avengers Infinity Stone sort of situation going on many years before. Well, actually, I don't know when, because I assume that's probably comics, isn't it? But anyway, I'm sure it's, this is before that. So yeah, let's get started with the cast. William Hartnell as the first Doctor. So William Hartnell is very good in this one. He's becoming a bit more kind of loving already at this point. He's not quite as grouchy and angry as he is in, the first couple of stories. So that's good to see. He doesn't appear in about 2 episodes though. He is away for 2 episodes, just over, I believe. I guess he went on holiday. I think this happened quite a lot in the 60s where actors would, go on holiday for a bit, but they'd be recording a lot of the year. So they just have to take that actor out for, a couple of episodes. So I believe that's what happened here. But yeah, basically William Hartnell, the Doctor, is not in it for 2 episodes, just a little bit more than that, which is a bit unfortunate to be honest, but it is what it is. William Russell as Ian Chesterton, pretty good. Has quite a few moments where he is, kind of the main one, especially when the Doctor isn't there. Very much relies on Ian being that main character sort of, and he does a good job at that. Jacqueline Hill as Barbara Wright, also very good, gets quite a lot of kind of solo stuff to do as well, and she's quite important in this one too. That's always good to see. And then Carol Ann Ford as Susan. Yeah, Susan is Susan. I don't love Susan. She's just kind of annoying and doesn't really have a whole lot to do in this story, in my opinion. So yeah, a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is with Susan. I've seen most of her stories now, at least that are available to watch on DVD, and I can't say that she's my favourite companion. Alright, so let's get on to a few points, starting off with Ian and Barbara being curious and interested in the building, comparing the architecture to Egyptian pyramids. So at the start, they come across this building, and that's the building that Alterios, or whatever the hell his name is, I can't remember, is inside of. But before that, they're looking for Susan because Susan's gone missing, and they trace her back to this building, and they just say that this building kind of looks like, Egyptian pyramid, sort of that sort of architecture. I just like that as a little bit of a thing. Obviously they're teachers, and yeah, a little bit of history there, a bit of education, I suppose, for kids and stuff. So yeah, I don't know, I just thought I'd note that down because I thought it was a nice little thing to bring up. Other doors only openable from the outside. So the doors on this kind of building, Susan, I think, is the first one who kind of falls into the door and falls into the building. And then I think Ian and Barbara and all that, it happens to them as well. They can't find a door in this building, and then it turns out it's kind of a hidden door. And when they lean on it, they fall in. How do they get back out again, though? Because, a couple of people, like Susan especially, she's very scared when she falls into this building. Can she not just go back through? It's not, I mean, it might be that they're only one-way doors. Fair enough. They're only openable from, the control room or whatever, that, you know, where they were going to put all these keys. Okay, fair enough. It's not explained though, because they do get out of this building. So how do they get out? It's a pretty minor thing. I mean, it's just a door, but it's something that I just thought I would mention because it is something I thought of. They're forced to find the keys so they can leave. So the main guy who's trying to get these keys, he basically, you know, he wants their help to find these keys because he doesn't want to do it on his own, I guess, because he's the only one left, and if he dies, then, well, nothing's gonna happen. So he wants, you know, the Doctor and co to help him out find these keys, and when they pretty much refuse because they know how dangerous it is, the guy, I think he like puts like a force field or something around the TARDIS so that they literally cannot escape. They can't get to the TARDIS. They can't. Yeah, it is a force field, isn't it? Because they're doing. I remember the miming sort of scene. Sorry, it's been over a week since I've watched this episode. I'm very late getting to this review recording. So it's kind of somewhat foggy in my memory. But yeah. So I thought that was cool. It, you know, at least explained, gave a reason as to why we're doing this here. And the fact that the Doctor and co did refuse initially is also an interesting thing. A precursor to the Key to Time, I mentioned this before, not really a whole lot more to say there. I haven't seen the Key to Time yet, it is on my list to get to, but yeah, as far as I know, this is kind of a similar sort of premise. Barbara had only travelled like a minute before the others, but it seems like she's been here for ages. So when they get assigned to find these keys, they get given these travel dials, which is basically a watch, which they can press, and it transports them to a location, and it's kind of already preset to go to where they need to be to find the next key. Barbara is the first one to activate the travel dial. She goes somewhere. The Doctor and co spend a minute, 2 minutes tops, talking to the guy, and then they go themselves. And when they get to this place, Barbara's already there. She's met all the people. She's getting fed. She's getting really well looked after. It seems like she's been there for quite a long time. Now, I'm pretty sure they mentioned that this doesn't travel in time. This is just purely a space thing. So that it doesn't really make any sense. Like, why does it seem like she's been there for such a long time? You know, she's wearing different clothes. She's meeting. She knows all these people. It just felt a bit off. These people hypnotize people into thinking that things are happening that aren't. So it turns out to be these kind of like brain things that are controlling the people in this kind of town village. And what happens is when everybody goes to sleep, they go to put these little ring things on like Barbara and Ian and Matt's heads, which I guess does something with hypnotizing them, which makes them not realize that there's bad stuff going on. But this ring falls off Barbara and she figures out, and she can actually see what's going on. So I quite like that as a thing. And the fact that it was Barbara as well, when, you know, she was the first one there, she was the one there in the first place. And she was like, yeah, it's all good here. It's all really nice. And she was the one that ended up, you know, having this happen to, I thought was very, very good. The Doctor splitting off from the others, I initially put this in here as a good point, but after actually watching the whole story, I think it's actually more of a bad point. I like it usually when the Doctor splits off, because it gives the companions a bit more to do on their own. It gives the Doctor a little bit of a different dynamic on his own or with a new character or something like that. But in this case, the Doctor goes off to do his own thing, and we don't see him until he returns back, and yeah, he says a few things that he's done, but we never get to see anything. And that is, like I said before, probably because William Hartnell went on holiday to Ibiza or wherever he used to go. So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate when that happens, because it kind of feels unnecessary. It's like, oh, I'm interested to see what he's going to get up to on his own. Ends up being nothing, really. Susan is constantly screaming and whining. Yep, I mentioned this before with the cast. It's just kind of Susan's character, isn't it? She just screams and whines and complains, and it's really annoying, and I don't like Susan. I'm sorry, I just don't. It's pretty bad in this episode, to be honest. I think mainly because she doesn't really have anything to do in this story other than be the girl in distress, basically. where did Altos and Sabitha get travel dials from? So Altos and Sabitha are two characters that are in this kind of first town that we go to, and then when they go, basically every time they use a travel dial, they go to the next area to get the next key. Once they've got that key, they do the dial and they go to the next area, and it keeps going like that. It's kind of all been preset by the guy, I can't remember his name, Arterius or something like that. I should really have the cast list up, but I don't. But yeah, so they all get given these travel dials, but then all of a sudden Altos and Sabitha decide to come with the Doctor and co to help find these keys. Now they're not being hypnotized by these brain-looking things anymore. And all of a sudden they also have travel dials, and I don't think it's explained how they have travel dials, because my assumption was that these travel dials were an invention of this guy who gave them to the Doctor. So we saw the exchange of these things. He didn't give them extra. So where did the others get these travel dials from? I don't think that's explained. People constantly go into places alone and then wonder why something bad happens. Now this is just a bit of a Doctor Who trope, to be honest, to just have stuff happen. It happens mostly, to be honest, with Susan and Barbara. A lot of ones with Susan right at the start when she goes back to the TARDIS and then decides, no, doesn't she, like, she sees footprints and she decides, oh, you know, Susan is known, we all know this, she's a bit of a scaredy cat, she's scared of all these things. She sees these giant footprints in the floor and thinks, I'm gonna follow those, follows them to this building, and then is terrified when she finds out what made those footprints. It's like, well, you could have just stayed at the TARDIS. You didn't have to, I know, you know, it's annoying. Barbara does it a couple of times as well. It's not a big negative because it is just a Doctor Who thing, and to be honest, just a sci-fi, just a show thing, to be honest. But it is a little bit irritating. The Doctor is missing for over 2 episodes. I mentioned this before. Not really any point talking on that again because I mentioned it with the splitting up part. The Doctor working out who took the key. So in the final area where they kind of do like it's almost like a trial. Well, it is a trial because Ian gets trialed because he is thought to have, I think, killed. Basically, when they use the travel dial for the last time, they go to this place. Ian ends up being in kind of this almost museum-looking thing, and somebody hits him over the back of the head. Oh, actually, no, when he gets there, there's a dead person, isn't there, on the floor. He's like, what's going on here? Gets hit over the back of the head by someone. Somebody then steals the key, or I think it was the key, from this kind of case. And then there's also this guy dead on the floor. And then Ian gets accused of that and also gets accused of taking the key. And there's a whole trial thing there, and the Doctor eventually works out what's going on and works out who took this key and tries to get the evidence that he can. I really like that whole sequence, so that was a good thing. And then finally, they tricked Aidan, who was the bad guy. He ended up being the one that did take the key and killed that guy, into thinking that they'd already found the key. Ian gave Artak a fake key. Artak was... I can't remember who Artak was. I think that was also one of the bad guys. I don't remember. Like I said, it's been like over a week since I watched this, but yeah, I really liked that final episode with the whole trial thing. I think it worked very well, and it was very interesting to watch. So my thoughts on the Keys of Marinus. I thought it was pretty good. There were definitely moments in there that weren't great. It was a little slow because it is a 6-parter, but definitely not the worst paced of, you know, these kind of 60s 6-parters, and you know, definitely there's worse 6-parters in the 70s. So it wasn't terrible. A few things there that aren't great, but as a rating, for a rating out of 10, I'm going to give the Keys of Marinus a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's a little bit better than kind of my average sort of score of a 7, but I can't do it much further than that because it is a 6-parter. It does drag a little bit. There are moments in there that don't make sense, that aren't explained, and that are just frankly annoying, but on the whole, it's decent, it's fine. I kind of wish the Vords were used a little bit more. They're kind of in the first episode, and I don't really remember anything else from them after that. They are a bit underused in my opinion, but yeah, a 7.5 out of 10 for the Keys of Marinus. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.